When Police Chief Marcos Williams saw his own officers harassing his children because of the color of their skin, he knew something had to change. But when he stood up against the system, he encountered betrayal and struggle beyond anything he'd expected. What happened next would shock even the most seasoned observers. But let's start from the beginning. Jake and Maya Williams, a brother and sister, are hanging out with friends on the basketball court in the city park. The sun shines, the ball flies from one player to another, and laughter and happy shouts echo over the city's usual noise. Jake and Maya finally have a moment to relax from school stress and just unwind. The game is in full swing when two police officers, Flynn and Harris, enter the court. They walk with purpose, scowling and casting scrutinizing glances at the group of teens. After exchanging nods, the officers move closer, stopping at the edge of the court. Flynn squints at the black teens as though their mere presence is an offense. "Game's over. Pack up and leave," Flynn barks sharply, without introducing himself or offering an explanation. Maya, a bit taken aback, steps forward, instinctively shielding Jake. Her voice is steady but carries a hint of worry. "Excuse me, is there a problem? We're just playing. We're not bothering anyone." Harris sneers at her and responds, "The problem is this park isn't meant for people like you. We got complaints about noise and fighting, and I'm not waiting around for trouble to start." Jake glances at his sister and sees the stubborn, wary look in her eyes. He, too, feels the anger rising, his face flushed with the injustice. He steps forward, stopping right in front of the officers. "But that's not true. We're just playing basketball. It's a public park. We're not breaking any laws." Flynn steps closer, his face twisted with contempt, leaning menacingly toward Jake. "Listen, kid, don't make me tell you twice. Say one more word and you'll be answering questions down at the station. Am I clear?" Fear flashes through the group. Some teens step back, understanding that the officers mean business. Jake and Maya's friends begin packing up, unsure how to react to the blatant intimidation. Maya glances at Jake, holding back tears, feeling powerless and scared. Marcus Williams, sitting in his car nearby, glances toward the park and spots a group of kids, among whom he immediately recognizes Jake and Maya. But his attention is soon drawn to the two officers circling the teens, clearly insisting on something. Watching their gestures and posture, Marcus feels a surge of anxiety and anger rise within him. He decides to approach immediately to find out what's going on. As he gets closer, Marcus hears Officer Flynn addressing the kids in a cold, commanding tone. "I said leave, now. Don't make me say it again." Jake, trying to defend himself and his friends, speaks up. "But we haven't done anything. We're just playing." Flynn interrupts, raising his voice. "Don't argue with me, kid. One more word and you'll regret it." Marcus hears the threat, and he can't hold back any longer. He steps out from the shade of the trees, stopping just a few steps from the officers. "What seems to be the problem, officers?" His voice is firm, almost sharp, carrying an unmistakable edge of indignation. The officers turn, irritation flashing across their faces, clearly unprepared for an outside witness. Flynn looks Marcus over with a superior gaze, unaware of who he's dealing with. "Excuse me, sir, but this isn't your concern. These kids are causing trouble in the park. We're here to keep order." Marcus glances at Jake and Maya, noting their frightened faces and how their friends stand off to the side, afraid to intervene. He takes a step forward, calm yet resolute. "What trouble exactly? How have they disturbed you?" He looks Flynn directly in the eyes, his gaze unwavering. Not grasping the gravity of the situation, Flynn sighs irritably, exchanging a quick look with Harris before replying. "We got complaints about noise and disorderly conduct. If you don't like it, take it up with our superiors." Barely containing himself, Marcus tilts his head, eyes narrowed. "You're speaking to him, officer. I'm Marcus Williams, Chief of Police, and these kids are my children." A moment stretches out, endless. Flynn and Harris's expressions shift as realization dawns. Their confidence fades, replaced by confusion and unease. Flynn is the first to stammer an apology. "Sorry, sir, we didn't know. It was just a misunderstanding." But Marcus isn't about to let it go. He steps forward, his voice calm but severe. A misunderstanding. And what if they weren't my kids? Would you still be threatening and intimidating them? Or was their crime that they're black? You didn't even find out why they're here. You just assumed they were guilty. Flynn, trying to salvage his reputation, mumbles, We were just trying to keep the peace, sir." But Marcus interrupts, pulling out his phone and starting to record. He looks directly at the two officers, making it clear that the matter has taken on a new gravity. "I want this on record. This isn't just a mistake. It's discrimination, and I won't allow it to continue, not against my kids or anyone else in this city." The officers look bewildered, tense, realizing their careers are on the line. Marcus, turning to the kids, puts a hand on Jake's shoulder and quietly tells them to head home. The next day, Marcos understands that this issue demands immediate action. Early in the morning, he calls an emergency meeting for all personnel in the conference room. As everyone gathers, Marcus begins to speak calmly, though his voice remains firm and unwavering. "Yesterday, something happened that shook my faith in our team," he starts. "Two officers thought it was acceptable to approach a group of black teens in the park and, without reason, demand that they leave." The room falls silent. Everyone watches Marcus, though many cast furtive glances at Flynn and Harris, who appear visibly uncomfortable, avoiding eye contact with either their chief or their colleagues. "These kids," Marcus continues, "did nothing to justify that treatment. But you assumed they were guilty solely because they were black." Harris, unable to hold back, tries to interrupt. "Sir, we acted according to the circumstances. We got a noise complaint, and we—" Marcus cuts him off, irritation clear in his tone. "A noise complaint? That's your excuse?" He glances around at the others. "If anyone here believes we have the right to judge people based on appearances or skin color, then we don't just need training. We need a complete reassessment of our values." Unease spreads through the room. No one expected the chief to deliver such harsh criticism, especially so publicly. "I want you all to understand," Marcus continues, "that incidents like these don't just tarnish the reputation of the police. They destroy the trust residents have in us. And if we don't change our attitudes and approach, that trust will be gone for good." Several officers exchange glances, some stifling awkward coughs and sighs. Flynn finally speaks up. "Sir, it was just a misunderstanding. No one expected it was your kids." Marcus holds a pause, his gaze growing even sterner. "Yes, this time it was my kids," he says, emphasizing each word. "But it could have been anyone's children. Trust in the police must be the same for everyone, regardless of race or background." Marcus pauses, letting his words sink in, then announces, "In the coming days, I'll be implementing a series of mandatory anti-discrimination training for everyone. If anyone thinks this is unnecessary or doesn't feel they need it, come to me and submit your resignation. This department has no place for those who don't respect the people they swore to protect." The room falls silent again. Some officers look offended or resentful, but no one dares to speak up. They understand that resistance is pointless. The chief is determined to see this change through. After the meeting, conversations continue in the hallways. Some officers complain about the chief airing out internal matters publicly. But others begin to realize that change is inevitable and perhaps overdue. Meanwhile, one of the junior officers, moved by Marcus's words, records part of his speech and sends it to a local news channel. Within hours, a story about the meeting appears on the news, and footage of the police chief's speech quickly spreads across social media. The city is abuzz with reactions. Some residents support Marcus and see him as a champion for justice, while others view his actions as a betrayal. Marcus watches the city's response, understanding that things have spiraled out of control. He's prepared for the consequences, but knows there's no turning back now.